Hey, Rich.
Yep, I'm on. I can hear good. Thanks.
All right, so I will call the March 12th, 2025 meeting of the Kickapoo School Board to order. And as always, we'll start with roll call, please, Marla.
Janet Mathis.
Here.
Earl Wallace.
Here.
Isaac Wallace.
Here.
Rich James.
Yeah,
Peggy McCormick.
Here.
Bo Schrader.
Here.
Scott Walter.
I'd say about half here.
Take what we get.
Yeah.
And number two, affirmation of proof of publication of the agenda.
I, Aaron Middams, certify that the notice of the Kickapoo Schools, March 12th, 2025 regular school board meeting was caused to be published in the Epitaph News on March 12th, 25, and posted on the following billboards on 3/7/25. Kickapoo K-12 School Building, Citizens First Bank Viola, and the Viola Post Office.
Thank you, Aaron. I'll entertain a motion then to approve tonight's agenda.
Well, there's a couple things we can delete off the action agenda, which is A, lawn care, because it's under 5,000. The committee approved to go with 608 lawn care for that one. And then the one for gym floor ceiling is under 5 and not with stalkers to do that. So
Okay,
you can delete A and B off our action agenda.
so as amended, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Also move.
I'll second that.
Motion by Earl, second by Peggy. Marla? And with Rich remote, why don't we do roll call?
Sure can. Earl Wallace.
Yes.
Isaac Wallace.
Yes.
Rich James.
yeah,
Peggy McCormick.
Yes.
Bo Schrader.
Yes.
Janet Mathis.
Yes.
Scott Walter.
Yes. Then, item 4, audience to visitors and board members. Do we have anyone other than the young ladies sitting to my left?
Yes.
Okay, so welcome and
We are here from student council. I am a senior, Jewel Kleinsasser.
And then I'm a sophomore. My name's Chloe Walter.
First, we're gonna talk about the middle school. Eighth grade English students are exploring the world of writing short stories. This project follows an in-depth study of the plot diagram that was paired with understanding of how sentences are made. The goal of this unit is for students to practice writing skills while showcasing what they have learned in sentence construction. Upon completion of their short stories, students will read a section of their story aloud to their classmates. Reading a part of their short story aloud will help them improve public speaking skills by allowing students to practice clear pronunciation, proper pacing, and expression. It also boosts their confidence in speaking in front of others as they become more comfortable with their voice and delivering in a supportive environment. Science. The 7th grade science students are beginning the dissection portion of their curriculum, and they will be dissecting earthworms, crawfish, starfish, and perch in Mr. Gerke's class in the upcoming days/weeks to learn more about anatomy and the functions of certain organisms in animals. 8th grade science classes are well into their chemistry units and are currently exploring the development and structure of an atom. They will be learning about nuclear decay this week and relating that to a disaster. 6th grade life science. The students have been learning about the ways to build confidence, understanding stereotyping, and determining their personal power. They designed a personal power symbol to remind them what they have learned about themselves.
Moving on to high school for English 11 and 12, students are finishing up the Vietnam War novel unit this week. Guest speakers Don and Tom were well received, and the students enjoyed speaking with them individually and seeing their artifacts after their presentation. Their final project is an interactive digital collage using Google Slides, reflecting their biggest takeaways regarding the characters, setting, theme, symbols in their novel. In Advanced Lit, students have finished Act 3 of The Crucible. Students are tracking the mass hysteria, shifts in personality, and personal responsibility, and they also are tracking character development, as well as considering Arthur Miller's purpose in the historical parallel to the McCarthy trials. The students are also creative writing through their fictional Salem personas, which reflects their reactions and connections to the events in the act. In college prep, students are both reading the classic To Kill a Mockingbird and working on developing their Q4 presentation. Students will be presenting their research papers to the class and any other guests they invite. The presentation will take the entire class period with 25 minutes for delivery of information and 15 minutes for discussion. There will be a total of 19 presentations. In English 10, students are currently working on their final presentation, a demonstration speech for the quarter. Topics range from dog training to how to tie a tie to hitting a volleyball with a plethora of other skill sets to be highlighted by the presenters. Students should be proud of their accomplishments this quarter. Their speaking and writing skills have greatly improved with this unit. Lastly, in English 9, students have published their sonnets, which wraps up the intensive language study associated with the first 3 acts of the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet. Focus will switch in the final 2 acts to dramatic elements and how Shakespeare developed them throughout the play, in addition to tracking the plot and the characters. The unit should be finished by March 21st. After this unit, we will embark in a poetry unit, do some test prep and grammar. In math, all students that were enrolled in college math through Southwest Technical College completed the required curriculum to earn 3 college credits. We have now transitioned to personal finance for the semester. College algebra students have now transitioned into statistics. Geometry, Algebra 2, and Pre-Calc are continuing on business as usual. Our twin conference math contest is coming up in March, and the Kickapoo High School math team has the most participants that I've ever had in my career here. That was from Mishulo. In our science, chemistry students are involved in a backwards lab in which they have to methodically figure out the identity of 7 unmarked chemical solutions. They will do this by first predicting outcomes for the known solutions, carrying out a variety of explorations in the lab, and finally comparing their lab results to their predictions, looking for clues and patterns to help them identify the unknown samples. It's a fun way to use their knowledge of chemical reactions and solubility rules. Beyond this, they are working in small groups to research the chemistry behind a consumer product. Should be some interesting presentations and demonstrations. Biology is currently starting a group research project where they investigate genetic technologies like gene cloning, GMOs, DNA fingerprinting, and similar technologies. Earth science students have started their unit on meteorology. They will use their knowledge acquired over the next month to create a mock weather forecasting video using weather maps, props, and a green screen. This is always a fun project for them and brings out their creativity. AP Environmental Science is starting their eighth of 9 units in the course. They will be looking into aquatic and terrestrial pollution, solutions to combat it, and preventative strategies. Anatomy and physiology students are nearing the end of the investigating glands and hormones, and will soon be learning about the cardiovascular system, where they will dissect a heart and trace the path of fluids through each chamber, valve, and supporting structures.
Overall, in high school, the Kickapoo fishing team competed in a Ridge and Valley ice fishing tournament in late February against Lafarge and Wazeeka. Our team won, and the conference traveling trophy, and everyone that attended had a great time.
For our junior advisors, we just wrapped up a very successful fundraiser and are now finalizing the prom plans. We have interviewed first graders and chosen the mini king and queen. The eligibility deadline to be on court is March 14th, and you have to be passing all classes with no suspensions. From there, we will vote to narrow the rep list to 6 males and 6 females. Then, during the week of April 7th, we will vote on king and queen from those 12 representatives. For our sophomore advisors, we have been brainstorming ideas to rejuvenate the 5K fundraiser. For our art classes in elementary, they have started creating the Art Sonia website. Most pieces will be inspired by famous art pieces or cultural folk art. In 8th grade, they have created their clay monsters based on their kindergarten drawings of monsters and are now working on their acrylic paintings. For high school, we just finished the VAC competition. Chloe Walter, Ashlyn Reynolds, and Evelyn Monroe advanced onto state with their projects. Today, 16 students attended the KVR Creative Communities event. Each student attending also donated a 6x6 acrylic painting to the Bidding Owl KVR fundraiser. For our agriculture and FFA, the past week, the strawberries came in and were distributed by FFA members to all of the buyers. And then for the next week, we will celebrate National FFA Week, where we will do daily activities and dress-up days throughout the middle school and high school.
For High School Student Council, the Student Council hosted a winter dance on February 22nd with approximately 53 students in attendance. Plans are in the works for a spring incentive day with canoeing and the Kickapoo being one of the activities. For music, March is Music in Our Schools Month. Our students have participated in several honors events in January and February. Band students attended the WCBA Honors Band in Whitewater and the Tri-State Honors Band in UW Platteville. High school choir students attended Dorian Vocal Festival at Lutheran College, and 9 middle school choir students attended the District Honors Choir in Westby. Our talent show was a big hit. School Spirit Night was a blast. Guest folk dance artist, also known as Dancing Sue, worked with elementary students on February 11th to 13th, as well as leading a family hoedown on February 13th. It was a great time. We took our senior music students to Milwaukee and Madison to enjoy a Milwaukee Symphony video game music in concert and the musical Shucked at the Overture Center. It was a great time to celebrate all their hard work and dedication. Middle school students had a great job at solo ensemble on February 19th. Our wonderful pep band finished out their pep band season with the Last Blast concert on February 27th. The bands and choirs are also preparing for the swing choir / jazz and large ensemble concert in March. We are very proud of our students. PE. March will be a busy month in PE. Students are currently playing ping pong. Starting the week of March 10th, all students will be swimming for a 2-week unit. At the end of the month, elementary students will be starting the Kids Heart Challenge.
For technical education, the work study and youth apprenticeship, February was CTE month, and we celebrated each of our youth apprentices and work study students this month. They were featured on the school Facebook and Instagram pages. Currently, 13 students participate in the youth apprenticeship program and 8 students participate in the work study program. Youth apprenticeship and work study allow students to receive paid work experience along with academic instruction to help prepare them for future careers. This month, I would like to recognize some students who have just finished up or are currently still taking some additional coursework for their career pathways. Brock Melfi and Hayden Peterson, both seniors, have completed OHSA 10. Both of these students are on a construction career pathway. Jake Malfi, Lee Deckent, who are both juniors, and Benny Culver, who is a senior, are currently enrolled in the first series of 3 courses through Destinations Career Academy. All 3 students are working towards a heavy equipment career pathway. For our yearbook, both the high school and middle school yearbooks have been submitted to Jostens for publications. Work has begun on the high school spring supplement, which will be completed at the end of the school year and distributed to students who ordered a book. In our forensics, congratulations to our outstanding forensics teams for their exceptional performances at the district contest on Saturday, March 8th. Coaches Mrs. Sarah Wallace and Mrs. Erica Walter are thrilled to announce that all of the students are advancing to the state contest. Eliza Wallace, Neela Fleehardy, and Gwenny Kelly will be advancing in poetry. Nico Valdez will be advancing in public address speech. Nikolai Rose will be advancing in radio news reporting. And the state competition will be held at the University of Wisconsin-Madison on April 11th.
That's all we got.
That's a lot. Questions or comments? for this?
No drive your tractor to school there?
That's next Wednesday, so.
Figured.
Gotta keep the tradition.
And the other comment I had is, you mentioned that our students in the, you used to call it VAC.
Yeah, the
arts.
visual arts competition.
That's really good to see. I know my husband drove the bus to that for a couple of years in the past, and he said that these kids did an amazing job. I don't even know what the categories are, but it's really nice to see our program development.
Well, thank you both very much.
Thank
Nice
you.
job.
Good evening.
No other visitors on the list, Marla? Any board member? Issues, questions, matters to?
I have a topic I'd like to just put on a future board agenda, would just be kind of a cell phone policy at school. I just hearing a lot about that recently, you know, I think there's, 17 states across the US that have no cell phone policies. Heard from my aunt that Cashton went to a no cell phone policy, and she said that was like really positive, I guess, for the teachers and everything in that school. And so just want to put it up as a topic for a future board meeting and get feedback from staff here, what they think about that. And, you know, it sounds like there might be larger rules coming out in the future anyways around that. And maybe get in front of that a little bit to just be on top of that policy, I guess.
Great idea. Could you make sure that's on next month? And do you think it would be a good idea, Isaac, to get feedback from staff?
That should probably go to the policy committee first, because, and the other one that you'll have to contact staff is not a bad idea either, but Neola, because pays for those and they're the ones that make sure we stay legal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and that was actually one of the
Things
things,
that's
just to add that I had on the report, because obviously right now the legislation is there to look at that, what will happen with that, I'm not sure. Some of the specifics of it are kind of interesting too, because it cites like not having film books and some things like that. But yeah, I think that part is definitely coming and would be a good, discussion, so.
So a discussion first at the policy committee, which is actually meeting before the next board meeting.
And I can contact David from Neola. He comes at the end of the month to meet with us, so we can go through that.
Okay. So maybe we could do it back to back. We could have the committee meeting and then update the board on our discussion immediately afterwards.
And I don't, from what we learned, I listen to the monthly meeting that Kim usually listens to from the state. I listened to and Aaron came down to listen to the part of it when he had time. I don't know if Neola will have anything yet because the legislation is just moving through. There were a number of bills on there that they said, the governor was sure to veto, that they didn't have a read on what the governor would do because there is public support for it. I don't know if you were still in there when they came back to that or not, but that one they didn't have a read for. They thought that the governor would. There's some belief that the governor will veto it because he sees it as a local control issue, and the schools want to. That should be left to the individual school districts to do what they think is best. Like Aaron said too, maybe that was our conversation where there's also a push that a lot of schools would just like to say, hey, that's the law.
Yeah.
Because all the research shows you're better off not having a cell phone with kids.
Well, and I guess that's why I bring it up too, is just so it's not a teacher administration issue, it's a school board issue, and if the school board says that, then that also takes it off the shoulders, whether it's legislation or not.
And they have to have them put away now, right?
Yeah, they're not to have them out in class unless they're told it's okay, so.
I know, that's good. We'll find out for you.
So that'll be the plan then, policy committee at 6 o'clock next month, and then I assume then we could just have it as an informational item on the board agenda and follow right up with it. Maybe not an official recommendation, but a summary of the discussion from the policy committee.
So, sir,
Do we want to solicit input from staff before that? Is that something?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, it's more upstairs then. We don't have them, well, they can't have them out. Some of the fifth graders have them, a couple of fourth graders have them, but they can't be out.
Can't be out means they shouldn't be out, doesn't mean
It isn't a problem downstairs.
It-
It isn't, not with the fourth and fifth graders. They put them away when they walk through the door and.
So maybe it's the upstairs teachers that might have thoughts.
Yeah, they would certainly have more thoughts. on
Yes,
that.
the elementary.
I would still work with Neola though a little bit and don't let them just get off with, there's no law on it yet.
Right.
I mean, they can give us a little bit of advice at least.
Great idea.
And they know if other schools
That
in the
has-
state have policies too.
Thank you, Isaac. That'll be a good discussion. Nice to be proactive on things like that rather than reactive. Anything else from any other board members?
I just wanna let everybody know, some of you already knew this, but the Reedstone Fire Department came in and did training in the school last month. Just to make sure that everybody knew where all of the more important spots were. Where, like, they went down and looked underneath the pool, with it, where all the chemicals are, the chemistry room where chemicals were, the shop, just places where there may be flammable things. So it was good to know.
Very good. Very good. Anything else? If not, we'll move on to item 5, expense vouchers and receipts. Questions or comments on those? I just had one, I guess, looking at some of the health insurance payments, it made me remember maybe last spring, or maybe more recently, we saw a nice breakdown of our new self-funded model versus the old traditional model, the cost breakdown. Is that being tracked month by month? What,
Yep, so we get a monthly report, it's typically lagged a little bit, but just to kind of show, these are all of our fixed costs, this is kind of some costs that have changed, if we get any rebate back from it. Right now, we're still running pretty good on it. I should be getting the summary for February within the next few days. So I can always add that on the next meeting if that's something that you guys would like to see.
yeah, or maybe we could wait till they have a year end type thing. June, I don't know.
It's kind of nice to see it at least quarterly.
So yeah, maybe next meeting then, if you'd like to see it soon.
I have this one for Apple. I just want to know what it was. I marked it.
P-card biggie
Oh,
or?
yeah, Peter.
It was probably on Mr.
Peterson.
Peterson's.
Yeah.
Yep, so we had to get a new mini Mac for the auditorium and then a program for that to run on, just for some of the stuff that goes on in the auditorium.
And then on the, must be the cash receipts. There's from the pool, it says pool use, but there's a bunch of $40 ones, is that just? I know there's one that said, water aerobics, but what are the other ones?
So a lot of those are probably from swimming lessons, that
Oh, that's
payment.
right.
And then, yeah, some of the water aerobics as well.
I forgot that they were doing that.
The only P-card expense I circled was DGA $4,100 to Skilling Supply Company in the press.
Yep, so that was for just some custodial supplies. I think they bought a lot of trash bags on that one just to kind of keep up. And that was kind of in that in-between period where, actually, I think DJ may have come in that day to meet with Troy. Just to kind of go over some of the needs and make sure you keep up on this. So that's why DJ still has that
Okay,
P card charge, was because they were using his before Troy had gotten his.
oh, I see.
But going forward, there shouldn't be any more charges on DJ's card,
I was
so,
gonna ask about that
Yeah.
at first, I thought, oh, we should get that changed to Troy. and then-
yeah, it was
Sorry,
just that in-between period, but now that Troy has it, DJ's has been canceled, so should be good to go.
Anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's expense vouchers and receipts.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Janet, second by Bo to approve. Marla?
Isaac Wallace,
Yes.
Rich James,
yes,
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Bo Schrader,
Yes.
Janet Mathis,
Yes.
Earl Wallace,
Yes.
Scott Walters.
Yes. Slim consent agenda tonight consisting only of last month's meeting minutes. So take a moment to glance through. And when anybody's feeling comfortable, I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda. Somebody be brave.
I'll make a motion if nobody else is going. Look
Second.
great.
Motion by Janet, second by Earl to approve tonight's consent agenda.
Rich James.
Yeah.
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Bo Schrader,
Yes.
Janet Mathis.
Yes.
Earl Wallace,
Yes.
Isaac Wallace,
Yes.
Scott Walter.
Yes. Moving on then to our action agenda, remembering that we're starting with item C, bus purchase. And the breakdown of that bus is in the packet. Details are there, it's just sort of keeping in line with our tradition of replacing a bus a year. How did we fare with the, what is it, transportation cost, the money we get from the state? High cost transportation, did
Last,
that pay off?
so I won't find out what we're getting for this year until about June 15th. But I know last year we did really well with it, just because we
Okay.
got the bus and 1 or 2 SUVs, so that for sure paid for the bus, if not more. Yeah, fared very well for us.
And I assume there are some cost benefits to maintaining a relatively low mileage fleet of buses in terms of maintenance, so.
We talked about it once, there was even something with insurance that a certain, I can't remember what it was, but. Oops. And as long as we can afford to, we need to, because the day is gonna come when we're not gonna be able to do a bus every year, and we wanna be in really good shape for that, so. And you'll work this into the budget. then,
Yes.
So.
Yep.
Jeff does a good job of finding reasonably good deals. Gonna find a bigger old model, but he gets in the hole for him, so.
What, well, maybe nobody knows, but what is that 100,000 mile warranty cover, is it? Just powertrain type stuff, or is it the
Yeah, I don't know that exactly.
Yeah, well,
We could ask Jeff.
well, I'm not gonna hold things up, just like I said, just wanna. So entertain, Janet,
So we're just making this, we're just doing this now basically so that Jeff can actually get his name in for this unit, that's right.
Yeah, it actually wouldn't be bought till after July of next year.
Okay.
Janet
Oh.
probably wouldn't actually be bought until next spring, so like February, March of twenty
Oh,
twenty-six.
okay, like a year from now.
Yeah, now it's just so we can get our name on the bus, and this should be to lock in the price too, so we
That's
should
gonna
see
get-
a big jump in price for a bus next year.
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Care for two.
Would anybody like to make the motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the bus.
I'll second it.
Motion by Isaac, second by Bo to approve purchase of the buses described. Marla?
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Bo Schrader,
Yes.
Janet Mathis.
Yes.
Earl Wallace.
Yes.
Isaac Wallace.
Yes.
Rich James.
Yeah.
Scott Walter.
Yes. Moving on then to former item D, school vehicle purchase, and there's a bid from Sleepy Hollow and Jones for similar vehicles. Looks like a Yukon from Sleepy Hollow and a Chevy Suburban from Jones.
I think right now Jeff has a van that he's not feeling super comfortable with taking kids on. Sounds like there are a lot of, I think, 8 or 9 kids up on Carter Mountain, and so this would give the opportunity to have that almost become a route to pick those kids up and be there rather than taking the van or using an extra bus to utilize to do that, so. As far as the bid, Earl, I don't know, Isaac, you wanna comment on that?
We talked and we voted to go with Sleepy Hollow's. Good. Alright.
Slightly less expensive and in stock,
And
so I
stock,
can get it right
ready to
away and start.
Oh, it's on the lot. It's a year older though, it's.
It's a year older, but
Oh,
both
right.
both renew and, I don't know. It seems like it's good to have in the hands so they can start using it.
Yeah, if he wants to get going as soon as he can.
So you said Marla, right, you wanted to get going on the.
He did, he wants to test out that route before the end of the year.
Yeah.
Is this a new vehicle? I don't mean new, but is this replacing a current school vehicle or is this an additional?
Yeah, the gray van he has, he does not allow kids to go in, he doesn't trust it enough, he'll allow maybe staff to drive it here and there, but it's
Oh,
really
Oh,
not
so one of the
used.
bus drivers drive
Yeah.
home with their.
Yeah,
bus at their
but
house.
yeah, it's not used for kids right now, and the big thing is that route that it's gonna take away from, that road picks up the first child at 6:20. So it's technically almost an extra hour than a normal route. So he'd like to relieve that a little bit and get one of these would, you don't need anybody with a CDL.
So who would drive that road?
He hasn't decided yet.
One of the bus drivers?
I think
would.
one of the van drivers that he has now,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
They won't need a bus driver. so.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd make a motion to approve the bid from Sleepy Hollow for the SUV.
I'll second.
Motion by Isaac, second by Earl. Thank you, gentlemen, to approve purchase of the GMC Yukon from Sleepy Hollow.
Bo Schrader,
Yes.
Janet Mathis.
Yes.
Earl Wallace.
Yes.
Isaac Wallace.
Yes.
Rich James.
Yeah.
Peggy McCormick.
Yes.
Scott Walter.
Yes. The next item then, make up school for future snow days. Nothing in the packet on this.
Yeah, essentially, we did our 4th day here last week, so just trying to have a plan going forward. You know, we kind of left it as we'd see what it would look like at this point. Kim and Andy and I talked and just space where things are at and the element of the virtual aspect with elementary and just kind of the uncertainty. We just felt that April 21st would make the most sense to use the date if we needed to. And go from there. So, I don't know if you have anything to add, Andy?
No, there's some. We also have the weekend coming up with the Friday, Monday off, but through the grapevine, there, people have already made plans for vacations, and I don't, we only have so many subs, so at least now, the Easter one, it didn't sound like as many people were going to be gone, can kind of work around that.
And this would be only if there's another.
Only if there's another one,
There's another storm.
and I'm sure that won't happen in Wisconsin and.
Actually, it's probably good to have it scheduled that late because I remember about
Yeah.
April 15th or
Yep.
so. that-
Do we have Friday off?
Friday the 27th.
Friday the 18th before Easter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Good Friday.
Oh,
April.
April, I'm thinking March, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's Good Friday.
So at least this way we have a plan, you know, everybody knows it's not scrambling the night before, what are we gonna do, and so.
I guess having survived COVID and all the virtual issues, not that that didn't work, but I like the idea of staying in school. Making it up.
Hey, quick question. Is that 15.17? Is that really correct? So we have 15 extra days in
Yes,
middle
it
school, high
is.
school?
No,
For elementary.
5 for middle school.
For elementary, yeah, high school is like 5:07 or something.
Yeah, so basically 40 hours, so to speak. Or minutes, I mean,
Okay.
it's still be.
Those are days,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it should say 5.17, not 15.17.
No, it's 15. for
That's elementary though.
Because they're not required as many from DPI.
Okay, thanks. Yep.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to make a motion to approve that approach to our impending blizzard?
I'll make a motion to approve the 21st as a makeup snow day.
Motion by Isaac, second by Peggy. Marla?
Janet Mathis,
Yes,
Earl Wallace,
Yes.
Isaac Wallace,
Yes.
Rich James.
Yeah.
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Bo Schrader,
Yes.
Scott Walter.
Yes. Moving on then to tonight's informational agenda, a couple items, beginning with something that's becoming an annual routine, review of the TC Network Service Agreement. There are costs and briefly services provided listed here.
Oh, we said it every year, they're awesome,
Yeah,
they do a great job.
and before we had them, we had our own in-house person and this has worked out really good. I'm sure we don't have as much invested in that as we would have.
No.
Having our own person.
seems very cost effective.
And they're just, from what I understand, you guys know they're really good and they've got a lot of resources behind them, so even if you just have one person here and he or she has.
Yeah, the people behind
I
Josh
think the
Adams.
resources part is really huge.
Yes.
You're not a one-person show, you've got all the stuff, they're doing it at every school and, that definitely helps.
And they're handling the cybersecurity stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's also. I guess just a question that, you know, I've seen the monthly payment every month looking through that covers anything? Like if we have some massive, they have to send every employee across the globe to kick a poop for 9 weeks.
It covers their services, but if we have to buy equipment and stuff
Yeah.
like that, it
Yes.
doesn't cover.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Whatever services are needed, it's covered. We're not gonna face that.
I think it does, right? We don't
Okay.
have any extra bills and, wasn't it Roger Tyson himself came and camped in the park one time when we had a major changeover going on, the summer or something.
Well, we all seem very happy with this, so. Will this come back as a action item or is this just?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll have an exact, they just said.
No, because, I mean, we are in contract through,
Yeah, I think-
contract through 2026.
And the
Oh,
4%
so that-
was
yes.
actually in the contract, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
not to exceed.
Oh, okay.
So it could come out.
Than that.
What is that percentage? It's less than 4%, right?
So our CPI this year is 2.95.
Yeah.
We've been waiting to hear back what our first sure contract will be next year, but we just know it's not going to exceed 4%, so right now I'm, planning for 4% just because that's more worst case scenario for this, so.
All right, if nothing else, and seeing Earl stare, which is telling me to get my butt moved, we'll move on to something I kind of enjoy, the monthly review of the activity funds.
All those
Negative is
negative
good.
numbers.
Yeah,
I like
still
that.
wrestling with that.
Yes, and the negative numbers are a good thing, that's just backwards. We do have a couple of accounts that show positive on here, so that means that they're in the wrong. I contacted those couple of advisors just to let them know, get a plan in place as to what they're gonna do just for fundraising and get them back to where they should be.
And there's also just a few that had absolutely no activity year to date at this point, which, it doesn't really matter, it's just if that keeps up, you wonder how long you should just leave them on there.
Yeah, and I know, there are a couple clubs that we really typically don't see a ton of activity in. And I know, I think it's the yearbook club, that one typically gets zeroed out every year because whatever is in that goes to help offset the yearbooks for everyone. So a lot of them at the end of the year kind of come out zero, or a few of them, I should say, not a lot.
Can I ask about one club that we, a year ago or so, started, the photography club, is that still going? Is it?
Still going, right now they haven't needed any funds, so I don't have any type of monetary account set up for them.
There's students participating?
Yep.
And remembering Earl's there, so I'm not gonna belabor this, but, when we met with the Lafarge board, sort of cross-pollinating amongst clubs, we thought it would be a good idea, is there any, I don't know where that, we left that, if we're actually gonna pursue that or push it, or. But if you guys remember, that came up as an idea, that their students could join our photography club, our students could join their boxing club or whatever.
I guess I haven't heard any more on that.
I'm not sure where Kim left off with that.
Yeah, I think with kind of everything that's happened the last month, they probably haven't.
Not prioritized it.
What's that?
They're probably not prioritized it.
Yeah, but we do, like, I think we did talk about that, there's a lot of things right now already that, there's a lot of crossover with things that happen and, stuff like that, so.
Any other questions, comments? Then we will move on, I assume, to the principal's reports, or do you have anything from the superintendent side?
I've got a few things.
Okay, superintendent reports then.
So just a couple things, and one of them was the cell phone ban and legislation, but we already talked about that a little bit, so. Couple other things, funding, it sounds like, obviously, there's a lot going on right now, but we should be good through the end of the year, but obviously, I think everybody's seen, I've tried to forward some of the Wisconsin school news, there's a lot going on, so depending on what happens with the Department of Education and all the special ed funding and everything, I think there'll be a lot to know and see what's gonna happen here within the next number of months. Title IX with some of the changes with Neola, there's a meeting coming up with them here in a couple weeks to kind of spell out new policies and how things actually should be said and where they're at. I think they've kind of held just a little bit with everything going on and where it's at and trying to have a good understanding and basis. Another thing, you've probably seen that in a little bit in the news too, but if you remember from testing last year, and Andy and I talked about this, they changed the cut scores and what was determined instead of proficient, basic and advanced, changed to meeting, almost meeting. And so there's been a little bit of discussion on that as far as changing things back to what the actual scores and where they were. Nothing has officially changed, but just something to be aware of with that. And the other one, if people didn't know, Superintendent Park, Kim is home, she got home yesterday, so very happy to be home and be there, and so yeah, I guess that's superintendent report, so. Andy, anything to add, I guess, to that?
No, the funding stuff, we watched that together today. And I think that was before you got in there, the lobbyist for Wisconsin that works with the federal government said that all the funding should be there for the rest of this year. Next year, what will happen is within budget and everything, we'll find out. But right now, that's good. There's also, I didn't bring that sheet with me, there's also, federal government, there is a bill they're trying to pass that would, make it much easier for voucher schools to be funded using it as a tax write-off. They didn't go into very much details, but they said if that happened, it would superheat the ability of people to use vouchers. And then where would that money come from? Obviously, it would probably come out of ours, but just on your radar, nothing eminent, but that was there. But no, I think that was it. The main stuff anyway. Principals report for elementary, every month, booked for breakfast. It's very nice to get grandparents and parents in here in a good situation to have breakfast with their kids. The high school, always, there's a club that comes down to read with the kids, so it's another way for our kids to interact. K-12, for K-12. U5 progress monitoring, actually, all that started, the kindergarten and first graders, their 10-week plans will be up, so we're making some really good progress with that in all the grades, so it's kind of nice to see. From the staff, Aaron and I both checked with the snow days, the 2 snow days where they got to work at home, and they are very appreciative of you allowed them to do that. They worked on U-Fly stuff, lesson plans, looking at data, things that they don't feel like they have time to do when a kid is coming in hurt, scraped up from the playground. And I know how that is, where you just start to try to do something, and then next thing you know, you're interrupted, and they actually had some time to really look at stuff. I actually have a list just that they sent me of stuff that they did, looked at different U-Fly stuff. There's inside of that, the U-Fly, there's a website that has different passages and different things that they can use to incorporate. They looked at a lot of sight words. There was some look at social studies and science stuff, some different things they want to do for writing. So it was time well spent. So thank you for that. I did an Act 20 audit just to make sure that we're in compliance, and guess what? We kind of are, so that's a plus. The invention fair, we actually hosted. So it was in the elementary gym, and there were 11 schools here, I think. And they just, Ashlyn Coleman sets it up. She's kind of in charge of it, not kind of, she is in charge of it. And they just rotate through, they go in groups, and then the kids show their different inventions. And the girls mentioned it too, Dancing Sue. We do that every year, and the gym teachers and the music teachers work together to put that on, and then the Booster Club helped. I can't say enough for what the Booster Club does, for the interactions they have with the community that support our school. And I have some thank you cards. I wish I could do more. They do a really nice job of helping promote school and what we do here. So if any of you are married to them, you can tell them. But they do a great job. It is really beneficial for our building. And that's it, short and sweet.
Very good.
All right, a few things. We have made a change, and if you walk down the hallway right out of the all-purpose room where we had the class years up in hard print, we've now changed that, so we're gonna put that in the digital display. So the graduating class years when you come in, where athletic honor roll stuff, the digital display will be up there, so we're working to change that. Each year we have to do an active shooter lockdown, so that will be coming soon. I'll have a report on that in April. Technical Excellence Scholar, talked about that last month, that has been selected, and that is Benny Culver, so congratulations to him. Yesterday was the ACT test, so we had the juniors who actually took the ACT test. And then we had the freshmen went to WTC and the sophomores went to EWL. And we had changed a number of years ago. I think this is probably, I would say probably the 5th year, where that day becomes a life skills day for the seniors. So they learned banking, investments. They took a CPR class and become CPR certified. And they also learned like basic auto repair, changing oil, changing flat tires, that type of thing. So that was actually some of the feedback from that through senior exit interviews, as they get to that point, and also they're like, how do I do taxes? What if I get a flat tire? I don't know how to do this. And so we've tried to incorporate some of those real world type things where they have a crash course right before they go. No pun intended with the crash. So that was that yesterday. And then additionally with Andy, what he said, I think everybody's very appreciative of those days to do some of the things they do with lesson plan and curriculum. A lot of the special ed teachers working on a lot of the IEPs and the time that it takes. Just even the grading aspect, that was in the report of the college prep papers, and I asked Erica today how long it takes to correct some of these 18-page papers, and she told me 2 to 3 hours per, and I was like, wow. So there's a lot of extra time outside, so I think those days to be able to really do some time and sit and think and be able to catch up and do some things is very valuable, so thank you to everybody for that. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Andy and Aaron. Any questions or comments? What day is graduation?
May 24th,
Sounds about right. Next up is Monday.
25th, 24th, that Friday.
It's the, I think it's the 23rd.
Okay, maybe it's 23rd.
Because we were just
23rd,
gonna do a
Yeah.
track call or something on the 20.
That Friday. So,
If there's nothing more for those gentlemen, then, I'll entertain a motion to convene the closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85, paragraph 1, part C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility with tonight's purpose: retirement, individual contracts, head and assistant track coaches, volunteer high school track coach, division of superintendent duties, and alternative student programming up.
have a good night.
Thanks for coming.
I'll make a motion to convene the closed session.
Motion by Earl, second by
See ya,
Isaac.
good to see you.
And I read
Bella?
Bye-bye.
I think I rode with you, didn't I? Didn't I ride with you? No.
Bo Schrader,
Yes.
Janet Mathis. Yes. Earl Wallace,
Yes.
Isaac Wallace,
Yes.
Rich James,
Yeah.
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Jeremy.
Scott Walter.
Yes. All right, back in open session, Earl.
Make a motion that we approve the individual contracts that were presented to us. Second.
Motion by Earl, second by Isaac to approve the individual staff contracts.
Earl Wallace,
Yes.
Isaac Wallace,
Yes.
Rich James,
Yeah,
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Bo Schrader,
Yes.
Scott Walter.
Yes.
Make a motion that we approve assistant high school track coach from boys and girls, Lauren Rosenberger, Russell, Jake Gerke, and Bill, or you want to wait on him?
Put that on there.
Might as well put him on there.
And Bill
Trell.
and volunteer high school track coaches, Sam Gary and
The second.
Did we do Jeremy as
we
head
did it
boys
Jeremy
and girls?
last month. It's on
Well,
that.
This
Yeah,
is to
10
change
minutes.
it. This is to change it from just boys to boys and girls.
Oh, okay. And to approve Jeremy Lee as head track coach for boys and girls. You're right, sorry about that.
I just don't have to take contract for it.
I'll second.
Motion by Earl, second by Isaac to approve the track coaches and volunteers listed.
Isaac Wallace,
Yes.
Rich James,
yeah,
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Bo Schrader,
Yes.
Janet Mathis.
Yes.
Earl Wallace,
Yes.
Scott Walter.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Isaac, second by
I'll second.
Bo to adjourn tonight's meeting, and thank you, everybody.
Have a good night, everybody.
Am I gonna vote on
He
that?
says with such enthusiasm.
I know, right?
You guys aren't gonna vote on that? You're not gonna vote on that motion or what?